Hi, I'm James. This is a quick start guide to using DIVA and entering data in it. So here we go. So this is the screen that you will get when you log in. For registrars, the default filter shown up here is for completion, because this is where you're going to be doing most of the data entry. There are 2 points when you might enter data. One is straight after the operation. You can even do it on your mobile phone as you're walking down the corridor to the coffee room. And then the second time will be after the patient's gone home. So typically if you sat down with a cup of coffee in front of the computer at the end of the week and just went through this list to see what needs to be filled in. You can see your team leaders up here, or your consultants, and now you can change them by going up to the account settings here and then editing them here. No need to get an administrator to do that for you. You'll see orange dots here which point you to where the work needs to be done. So that's where there are incomplete fields that are required before the record is complete. So you'll see the orange dots, and then you'll also see a counter up in the top right hand corner there, which is how much you have left to do for the day. So once that gets down to 0, it disappears and you can log out. Let's suppose it's Magnus Carlson, and he's come in with acute right leg fossa pain, and you've just done an appendicectomy with your boss. So you would add in a treatment here. It would be an operative treatment. You fill in the fields. The white fields are optional, but if you've got time, it's a good idea to put them in because it will help with analysis later on. So say this was an ASA 3, you did it at 8 in the morning and you finished at 9, like that. And then we scroll down to the procedure selection here. You'll see that you can see your boss's most used, favorites which you've selected using this star, or you can simply search for it. So I'm going to search for the procedure. Then I'm going to add in the data below. You see the orange fields here point you towards what absolutely needs to be done. The white fields are optional, so no longer do you need to put in free text. I would only use this if there's something extremely interesting that you want to record there, because most of the time it's the coded data that we're analyzing later. So say this was actually a different boss who was supervising you, and they're actually going to take over the care of the patient. So you would put them down as the operator, perhaps. It would ask you here to change the lead consultant, which commonly would occur. So you would click yes, and then put in your details as the assistant. This person is called Craig Demos for demonstration purposes. Usually this is automatically filled in properly, but you can change it if you want to. And so you can see that now the treatment orange dot is gone. If during the operation you actually did more than one procedure, so you did an adhesiolysis, for example, you would add it as a new procedure rather than sort of just bunging it in the notes, because then that's going to help us analyze the data a lot better. The other thing is that you would need to add in a diagnosis. So again, we're going to search for our diagnosis, and this chap unfortunately had a perforated appendix, and it's important to say that it was treated by the lap appendix there. Again, some notes only if you need it, really. So let's also say that this person had an intraoperative complication, which is a clinical complication, and it was actually a hemorrhage. So we'll put that in there. And of course it's a complication of the appendicectomy, so in this caused by field we need to select the appendix. So this is really important. If you think that the complication is a direct or even an indirect consequence of an operation, select this because it will go down as a complication. Then you'll see in the severity box here the Clavian-Dindo grading system. And so for a hemorrhage that was quite severe in theatre, might needed a bit of pressure support, etc., and surgery to stop it, then that's at least a grade 3B. So let's do that. And then you'll see that automatically this audit form down here has pinged up an orange, because the system will default us to discuss any complication that is grade 3 and above, or any death as well. So it's asking for some information here, and if you see this, you will actually need to fill in this field: bleeding intra-op, needed lots of stitches. Oh, I can't spell. Obviously you put in something a bit more meaningful than that, but then that will help us speed up the discussions in the M&M meeting. Okay, so that's after an operation, perhaps a particularly harrowing operation maybe. The next time is, of course, when the patient's discharged. You'll see Sarah Test is no longer got this bed icon, which means she's gone home. The system automatically gets the discharge date and the discharge type from the hospital administration system. So this automatically comes in telling you when the patient's gone home. So say this patient actually came in but didn't have an operation. You still need to put in a treatment there. There are different types of treatment. There's operative, radiological, endoscopic, and medical. Of course, any patient who doesn't have any of those three will have medical treatment, even if it's just pain relief or fluids or something. So medical is the default treatment in any other situation. And diagnosis, say it was actually a wound infection, for example. So we're going to put that in there, and we're going to put in infection, for example, skin post-op wound infection. And it wasn't treated by surgery, it was treated with medical treatment, as we said. And this wound infection was actually a complication. But it wasn't a complication of any of the treatments in this episode. It was actually one from a previous episode. So you don't want to add the complication in here, because then this is going to be a complication of this admission. You actually need to, I'm going to delete that. You actually need to add the complication against the original admission where the treatment occurred. Now, at the moment we don't have a very slick way of showing that to you, but it's not difficult to find the previous admission. Just copy the NHI, put it in the search box, and it will come up with previous admissions where you can then add the complication. So that's for adding a complication to a previous thing, but of course there are other complications that occur. Sometimes you get a complication which is not caused by an operation, but still nonetheless a complication. So say this was a different type of infection, maybe a line infection that led to septicemia. You would put that in, but you would leave this field. You say leave it blank if not caused by treatment, and it tells you that. So leave it blank. And then the severity is obviously not Clavien Dindo, because that doesn't apply here. Minor, intermediate, severe. You'll see that a severe complication also brings us up for discussion, but intermediate and minor don't qualify for discussion. So I'll put that down to intermediate for now, for example's sake. There's one more type of complication that we like to include, and that is a system complication. So that's something that's arisen as a result of the process of care, not the actual treatment that's involved. For example, in this patient, maybe there was a complaint. So it's a good way to record stuff as well in this database. It helps us with our discussions. So say none of those complications were that severe, but we still want to discuss it for other reasons. I know we were particularly unhappy with we were particularly unhappy with the complaint, so we would put in some details here. And now this case is now going to come up for discussion despite it not having a severe complication or death. Okay, so that's how you optionally put somebody up for discussion. The last thing to show you is that sometimes admissions appear here by automatically. There are actually turn out not to be real admissions. It's a system error, you know, from the hospital administration system. You can now actually just delete these rather than getting administration to take them off the system. Click up here on the admission and actually delete the admission. You'll need to put in a reason just so that we can monitor use of this feature. So that's a whistle-stop tour. Obviously, if you've got any questions, feel free to reach out. Okay, bye-bye.